We actually are just about out of time. I'm going to give everyone a few seconds just to kind of tell us what's going next for them. I want to thank everyone for being here today. I think we've somewhat answered the question, where are the jobs? But I think more importantly, we've raised, an important discussion point, and that's what effect is the drone industry going to have on jobs? And maybe this answer about where's the money, where are the drone jobs, it's an evolving question and one that we might be able to speak to more clearly this time next year. But this has just been such a disruptive year on all accounts that it's a little difficult right now to really give a definitive answer. So again, I do want to give everyone a couple seconds to say what's next for them. So Sevan, let's go back to you.
Yeah, for the sake of saying something disruptive and something different, this is something I've been thinking about for a long time and waiting for it to come through. It has not, but really using the analogy of the iPhone, where when the iPhone came out, it was an iPod plus a phone. No one really anticipated the app market and millions of apps and all the novel use cases that those apps have enabled using some very simple sensors that are on the iPhone, a tilt sensor, a gyroscope, GPS. And a lot of people have said drones are flying iPhones. So, and drones have sensors, drones are modular. So I'm kind of waiting for that to happen. We are talking about use cases here, some obvious ones, but really when you give that to the hands of developers and consumers and letting them come up with all these novel use cases that none of us have even thought about, right? Just like the iPhone is doing and the developers in the iPhone realm. So, so for that to happen, you need an ecosystem to emerge, just like the iOS now is an ecosystem and all the developers are using that environment. But that's kind of what I'm excited about. All the jobs, all the developers, like, again, we can count how many people have become millionaires developing interesting apps for the iPhone. I want to see the same for drones as the market settles, as you have ecosystems, operating system from software and hardware perspective emerging in a standardized fashion. So that's kind of my excitement. I've been saying it to myself for a long time, and I'm waiting for that to emerge.
Well, Sevan, one thing I do want to add just very quick is we've seen a lot of success this year in Skydio. And I kind of, look at DJI and Skydio. There's an interesting analogy out there. And the analogy is, what if DJI is Nokia and Skydio is Apple? I'm not saying that's the case. What I am saying, it does bring up a point. The more Skydio succeeds, the more American jobs there'll be. So, there are instances in which jobs will be created. And it's exciting to see these companies really making a name for themselves in America. So Darshan, let's move to you. What's next for you?
So you brought a good point about, DJI and Skydio. And also, my thought would be in that is, if DJI taught us to think, Skydio taught us to innovate. So that's how I feel it is. The industry has matured a lot. What I'm hoping is to focus more on education, try to bring more state and local education into the picture. Outreach is still a very important thing. And, organizations like Drone Responders and, AUVSI and other organizations, they've been doing great initiatives. And I think as other organizations and companies, we need to work together. It has to be a broader picture than just a specific state level greatness or state level initiative. It has to be a broader picture. Make in USA, made in USA, that has to be a very important thing for us moving forward, because that will create more jobs in US. So when we talk about technology, talk about apps, we need to educate our future workforce that are right now in schools and in universities that this industry is welcoming you. And we are, this industry is the billion-dollar industry, but it's only because you guys need to come into this industry and enhance our operation. Bring us the apps, bring us the technology, and agencies like traditional agencies, like state agencies, even public safety agencies, need to think out of the box and say, okay, let's get these technologies in. Yes, it saves time, it saves lives, it saves money, but unless we give an opportunity, we start trusting, it's not going to work out. And then to all the industry people out there, our focus is that to have patience. You cannot change things within because of COVID or because of a certain things happening. You have to wait and let it move together. And this panel as such, may be left with the point that, are there really jobs or not? No, this is for two sides. One, there is jobs in the industry, but it's also for the private sector, state and local government, universities to start thinking how to prepare the workforce. FAA just announced a workforce development initiative with universities. That's some of the great initiatives out there that we need to start supporting. If our universities and community colleges are not aware about it, we need to reach out to them. High schools have started talking about it. So this industry, I moved from the manned aviation side with a little doubt that this industry is going to work in 2014. But I think I did a good decision of leaving the manned side and coming to the unmanned side, because I've seen it grow. I've seen people, great leaders emerge from this and experts. So it's an exciting next few years. And I don't think so COVID is going to dampen or bring our spirits down in any way. It's just going to make us think out of the box further. And end of the day, I think education is where I feel we really need to focus and help the folks who want to get in the industry with the right guidance.
Darshan, that's such an important point, and obviously we don't have time to go into it today, but education is not great just in general for informing people of the uses of drones, but one of the goals of Women in Drones is to increase diversity, and all of that starts with education. We need to provide women and minorities with the ability to learn about this technology and become leaders in this field. And this is something you and I have talked about before. So I think education, it has multiple advantages. And and even aside from diversity, like you said, it's public perception. It's making sure those state and municipal governments understand what the benefits are of this technology. The FAA regulations are only going to evolve as quickly and as positively as public perception does. FAA has said that time and time again. So that's a great point. Adam, let's go to you. What's next for you?
Well, I completely agree, on the community acceptance and public perception. I think there are three things to watch over the next year. I think that's one of them. How do we build public acceptance and mitigate potential societal concerns about the increased use of drones? I think that's an important focus area. I think another one has to get down to public policy. Should we prioritize certain types of drone activities? The delivery of essential medical supplies and the discretionary package delivery are very different. So should we prioritize the airspace and the associated activities that drones and other users are using it for? And I think the third area to watch, which I think is a growing opportunity potentially for the workforce, is kind of this peer-to-peer marketplace where you can hire a drone operator for freelance work. There's kind of these apps that are, popping up, online where you can kind of, hire a freelancer for drone work. And it will be interesting to see if that takes off and continues to grow.
That's a great point, Adam. Pilot networks kind of fall into that. And that also, we really haven't touched too much on that, but that's, a place where you're talking about jobs for drones. You have several of them. I mean, DroneBase, DroneUp has a pilot network. Fly Guys has a pilot network. There are various others. And these groups basically are like Craigslist, I would kind of call it. That may be not phrasing it correctly, but they're a marketplace for skilled pilots to be matched with the appropriate level of mission, the appropriate project for which their skills are uniquely tailored. And this has been invaluable to these companies. At the start of this, you had companies who just matched based on the lowest bidder to the job. That didn't work out so well. But the companies who have really honed in on matching the skill set and the type of mission to the actual client, the type of mission needed, they're the ones who are succeeding. So at least until automation plays a far significant more role, I think these pilot networks are also a great source for jobs. Charles, so let's end with you. Obviously, you are public safety is on the perception. It all starts with public safety. first response emergency efforts. And kind of going back to Adam real quick, because this ties into what I'm talking about with Charles, we mentioned how are we going to prioritize deliveries. The FAA, I think we've seen, is prioritizing those essential deliveries over non-essential. They've been great about working with companies through COVID to enable operations, whether under 135 or 107, that are directly related to pandemic relief efforts. So I do hope and think we will see more of that prioritization. But Charles, let's go to you. Tell us what's next for drone responders.
Oh, just reinforce what you said. I think the SGI process shows the prioritization for public safety. So that's one good thing I want to make sure to note. But I'll be brief. I think we're in an evolution. And that's why I said it's a disruptor, because when you go to education, it's hard to determine how to educate people on what's next, because we are so much at the beginning of this. And the reason I say that is we're going to see changes when remote ID comes, type certification comes, which is going to lead to more beyond visual line of sight and autonomy, and one person operating multiple drones and a lot of different things. So that is going to continue to transition. We're just hoping that we're going to see more capabilities for public safety to be able to use these drones, again, to be safer, to be more operationally effective, to create better situational awareness, and just do a better overall job.
And Charles, one area I'll add to that, you brought up remote ID type certification. We're also expecting, in conversations with the FAA and what they relate to the public, to see some relaxations of the restrictions of operating over people and at night. So all that together, I think, will make for an increased scalability across the industry. So we're out of time. I want to thank all the guests today, all the speakers, for contributing their time and their knowledge and expertise to this subject. Again, as I said a few minutes ago, where are the jobs? Might be too early to tell, but jobs will be there in some degree. We will monitor the situation as it continues to evolve. This is creating exciting new opportunities, even though it may result in some jobs, no longer being necessary. And as with other areas in time where jobs have been found to be obsolete, people evolve as the technology evolves, and people will use their skill sets to find a way forward. And so it's a balance. And this is the very thing that municipalities are concerned about. It's balancing, and states, balancing that welcoming of innovation against the job situation. What is this going to do to the workforce? And it's something that I think we'll have to continue to tread delicately. So thank you again for joining us today, and please stay tuned.